And it's so interesting, and Debbie was talking about it earlier about my journey, because for years I've been helping women with financial fears and emotionally part of the business and the roller coaster that has to do there. And this morning I had somebody, we were tapping on some money blocks, but then guess what we end up tapping on? You got it, her ex-husband. So relationships and money, it is the same thing, right? It's the same energy.
It's so the same thing. And I had this more than a month ago. I was working with someone who's so blocked about just going into the computer, looking at her financial accounts. She couldn't even go online into her accounts, and she connects it with her ex-husband, relationships, who is so controlling about money that her whole body shuts down, and that connected with the financial crash in 2008. And those two, the marriage of those two things together have put her in a position where she's totally blocked, and she just says, I feel like I'm in this deep black ocean, and I'm sinking, and I can't, and I'm so overwhelmed. So we tapped on that also.
And you're totally right. And there's some simple things that you can do. Like some of them you taught me. You said, Olga, you got to start tracking your income, and you got to start tracking your expenses. And when was last time we met? I think in August, right? You and I, we had a session. And it took me about half a year. Like I was tapping on budget. Like word budget felt so like constricted. It's just so not sexy and scary and just like the opposite of abundance. And it took me quite a few months to get to the place where budget is sexy.
Wow, really so I think we should do that, because so many people just don't like to do even just like the simple budgeting. But that when you see where your money is going, that gives you so much power, because you can make choices.
Absolutely. And there's more than one way of doing it. And I think Debbie has this program that she uses. Now, I use an envelope system. Now, I'm like very not techy, but I do track things there. Yeah, I do track things, and I write everything down, and I do it daily, and I'm very anal about it. And it does take time to develop this habit, but once you start doing it, it's very addictive, and it's a good habit to have. Now, when I track my expenses, it's also not techy. It's just like this, I just put it on a paper, and I also do it daily. And you guys might have heard it before, but whenever you put your energy, that's what improves. And it also becomes more normal, because for us, we have all of these feelings around money. And so yeah, totally. So budget, is that what you're thinking?
That's what you just like tap on the word budget until that feels good inside of you?
So tell me just a little bit about what kind of experience you had with your client when they start budgeting. What kind of fears coming up? What do they feel? Like what part of that is the worst? And what kind of things they thinking about just, thinking about budget?
I mean, when I'm working with clients who are in debt, and I'll just say at the outset, I mean, I work with clients who can be $100,000 in debt, and I have clients who have 8 figures in wealth. My practice really spans the gamut. I just came from the wealthier side of my practice when I was in Jerusalem today. But my clients who are in debt, there's a lot of shame, a tremendous amount of shame. One of my clients that I'm thinking about is a professional, a doctor, right? And people would think that a doctor would have their act together and would be wealthy, and then they sort of have to live a certain kind of lifestyle. But when you end up living that kind of lifestyle and going into debt to have all of the outer window dressings of what it means, and then you have so much debt that the interest on the debt is like destroying them. And they're in this like spiral. It's just like sucking them down, and they just feel like their life is getting very, very narrow. And there's guilt, there's shame, there's fear, there's disappointed that they've disappointed their spouse, because they would like to be able to give their family so much more. I mean, the emotions are so deep, and they're so raw. So I've done tapping with them also, and just like the tears are just it's because it's so deep.
And it's a good one to address, because shame and guilt are the heaviest of all emotions ever. Like out of all emotions, if you're feeling shame or guilt, do that first, because if you feel guilty, you'll find a way to punish yourself. Guilt is the recipe for self-sabotage. You'll mess things up if you feel guilty. And
Right.
so if you have a debt, if you have resistance to creating budget, tap with us. So right now we're going to do a quick tapping session. And here's the thing. First time when I tapped, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. I went and I closed my door so nobody can see it because it was just so strange. And right now, I remember yesterday I was tapping in Starbucks with my friend. She didn't feel like, let's tap. We were just sitting there tapping in public. And the truth is, I see the world in future where tapping is as normal as jogging or swimming, right? It's such a brilliant tool, and it helps so quickly to change the way you feel that all of a sudden you don't have this inner obstacles. And so what we'll do, guys, just relax, join, our process, and just do know that there's no wrong way of doing it. You cannot mess this up, honestly. So the way it works, just take 2 fingers, and we're going to tap on these acupressure points. And so the one that we're going to use is there's one between the eyes, one on the side of the eyes, one run under the eyes, and one right here. So this is the collarbone point. And so what happens, guys, these points, they are end points of the meridians that run through our bodies. And those meridians are energy channels that carries energy to the internal body organs. And so naturally what happens when you stimulate those points, you send an energetic, signal to those body organs. And it creates a reaction that counteracts stress. So now here's the truth. Nobody really knows why it works, but the meridians are scientifically proven. It's not a belief system. They really do exist. They also done a lot of studies on it to where they had like really high results of the cortisol, which is, if you guys don't know what cortisol is, it's a stress hormone, being significantly lowered every time you tap. And so it absolutely works, and then there's science behind it, but it's a practice, and just go ahead and experiment with this. It's a really fun, simple technique. One more last thing before we start tapping. I don't know if any one of you experience this, but if you like have a headache, have you ever noticed that you do something like that? Like naturally people do this. So your body know how to heal, and those are the acupressure points that we'll be using. You see what I'm saying? Like, your body is so wise. Okay, so what I want you to do, guys, I want you to close your eyes and just kind of think about this debt or budget or anything about money that doesn't feel good. And as you go there, just notice what it is. And another thing I want you to do, guys, is I want you to set an intention to learn how to deal, how to be able to talk about money openly, and to just feel better about it. And we're going to start this process together. And as you do, just notice what's coming up. Maybe just saying word budget, which was my thing, right? Just creates, an emotional response. It made me feel constricted. It made me feel like I don't have freedom anymore. Or like if you think about your debt, if you feel shame or guilt or disappointment, whatever those things are, just allow yourself to feel it. And just stay with us. We'll do it for a few minutes, maybe like 5 minutes or so. And I can guarantee you guys, we're going to get you out of this. So don't be afraid that you're going to get stuck. We'll tap, you'll feel better. And as you do, in your mind, just do this simple exercise with me. Imagine that you're holding on to helium balloons in your hand. Got it? So if you would release and let go of the balloons, what happened with them eventually? So they fly away, very good, and then they disappear in the distance. Can you see that in your mind? Go ahead and watch them disappear. And when you're done, just take 2 fingers, look at me and do what I do and say what I say. We're going to tap together and just say, this shame.
This shame.
This guilt.
This guilt.
All this money stories.
All this money stories.
The disappointment.
The disappointment.
My resistance.
My resistance.
To looking at my finances.
To looking at my finances.
Getting clarity there.
Getting clarity there.
My fear.
My fear.
About the debt.
About the debt.
It's safe to let it go.
It's safe to let it go.
It's safe to clear it.
It's safe to clear it.
All in the past.
All in the past.
Every day is a new day.
Every day is a new day.
It's safe for me.
It's safe for me.
To feel differently about it.
To think differently about it.
As I do.
As I do.
I feel lighter.
I feel lighter.
I'm more clear.
I'm more clear.
About what I want.
About what I want.
It's easier to make decisions.
It's easier to make decisions.
I am more focused.
I'm more focused.
And I make more money.
And I make more money.
So it's safe for me.
So it's safe for me.
To get clarity.
To get clarity.
Around my finances.
Around my finances.
Release old fears.
Release old fears.
It's safe to let it go.
It's safe to let it go.
Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Very good. What I want you to do is I want you to grab your wrist, just kind of push around like that. So it's another, there's a number of acupressure points that kind of runs through right here. And then just take a deep breath. Breathe in. And breathe out and say word peace. And essentially peace is just like an anchor word. So it anchors you to a good feeling because it's an NLP technique almost. So what I want you to do now, guys, is do this with me. Just close your eyes. And I want you to go to a happy, peaceful memory, something that makes you feel good. And it doesn't have to be small or large, just be looking for a good, positive feeling. Maybe you're walking in nature, maybe it's your kids, or your wedding day, or maybe it's a vacation. See if you can find one. And Debbie, do you have one? Do you have a happy memory?
Fantastic. You want to know what it is?
Yeah, go ahead and share with us. Yeah,
it was when I was on the top of Half Dome 2 months ago in Yosemite.
Oh, that's right. That's a good one. Okay, fantastic. So when you go to this memory, can you tell me how it makes you feel? So give me 3 feelings around that one.
Awesome, empowered, and it's like I totally pushed beyond my limits. It totally pushed beyond my limits.
Like everything is possible. Infinite possibilities.
Yeah, no limits.
Fantastic. Yeah, and so feel this feeling and feel it in your body. So go ahead and drop into your body. And if you're tapping with us, if you're doing this video with us, if you're watching to replay, go ahead and do this thing. It's a very important part of this process. And just kind of follow along and drop into your body. And I want you to notice, where do you feel this feeling in your body? So for you, Debbie, where it is?
It's mostly like from here up.
Okay, fantastic. So like in your chest and shoulders and a little bit up.
Just like I feel like I'm radiant.
Very good. Beautiful, beautiful. Fantastic. So we just went through a very simple process. So the one that I demonstrated to you guys is called a faster EFT process of tapping. And it's a little bit different than standard EFT, but they both work. And I swear by both of them. And so essentially what you can do, guys, when you feel any resistance to tracking your finances or even looking at your finances or doing whatever work that you do with Debbie, just use this simple technique. I mean, you cannot do it wrong. So feel this feeling and just tap, tap between your eyes, side of the eyes. And it doesn't even matter what you say, because feelings, they don't have words, they don't have names, right? And so when you tap, you automatically relax a little bit, right? So the guard goes down. So all of the suggestions that we make while we're tapping, they're bypassing conscious and they go to the subconscious. So change happens so much faster than you tap and say affirmations versus then you just do affirmations, right?
Yes, that's totally
so
true.
let me, so how are you feeling, Debbie?
No, I feel good. I like it, that anchoring with that amazing feeling.